Hey, what's up guys, it's Apollo Uchiha here, back with another part of What If Naruto Was the 5th Hokage. As you have guys requested yesterday that I upload a new part of this series tomorrow, so yeah, here it is. If you haven't, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel, and without further ado, let's continue our story. Naruto stood at the window of his office, overlooking the people of his village as they walked the streets and conversed with one another. He found it almost strange that some of them were the same ones that were calling for him not to be made Hokage yesterday, yet they were at peace today and enjoying the repairs that were made by the wave constructors. He knew that they had no say in his appointment, but just how bipolar were these people to say he was doing a great job today, yet yesterday they were crying out in protest that he was unfit. An Anbu Black Ops member appeared in a bowed position as Naruto looked at the wolf mask from over his shoulder. "Have you located him yet, Wolf?" Naruto asked in a monotone voice as the Anbu Black Ops member nodded, yet stayed bowed. "Yes. He was overjoyed that you called for the meeting and is just arriving in the building as we speak, Hokage-sama," Wolf said as Naruto nodded and waved him off, while he disappeared as someone knocked on the door of Naruto's office. "Come in," Naruto said as the door opened to reveal Tazuna. The man and Inari, who was right behind him, smiled as they walked into the office. "So, what we saw yesterday was true then. You really did become a Kage of the Leaf Village, and I thought I only saw that because I was drunk off my ass," Tazuna said, and Naruto's sweat dropped and leaned forward in his seat. "Well, it's true and real. So, what can I do for you two today?" Naruto said in a friendly voice as Inari ran over and hugged Naruto. Naruto hugged the boy back after getting over his surprise. "Big brother Naruto, you really are a great ninja," Inari said as the door to Naruto's office opened again. Konohamaru stood in the doorway with wide eyes as his jaw dropped, but that didn't last long as his eyes narrowed into a glare and his mouth formed a frown as he ran over to Naruto. "Get away from the boss!" Konohamaru shouted as he ran over but tripped over his scarf once he was in range of them. Everyone in the room blinked at the sight. "Who's this, Naruto?" Inari asked as Naruto smiled and helped Konohamaru up. "This is Konohamaru Sarutobi. He's the grandson of the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi," Naruto said as Konohamaru jumped back. "And who's this guy, Naruto?" Konohamaru said as he and Inari began glaring at one another. Naruto and Tazuna sighed in unison and then looked at each other. "I'm Inari. My grandfather is Tazuna the carpenter. I'm his apprentice. What is it to you?" Inari said as he got into Konohamaru's face. "I'm Konohamaru. My grandfather was the third Hokage, as you have heard, and I was starting to learn under him before he died." "Why were you hugging Naruto?" Konohamaru asked as Inari and he glared at each other. "'Cause he's my big brother. He taught me what it means to protect those precious to you, and he defended and saved our country from an evil man named Kato." "What's your story?" Inari said as Konohamaru backed up from him and gained a proud look on his face, and he held his head high and jabbed a thumb into his chest. "Naruto's my big brother. He taught me the importance of hard work and determination in order to reach my goals, and he defended me and saved our country from a psycho guy named Gaara," Konohamaru said as Inari glared at him. "Well, it doesn't matter because he and I formed a special bond when he left Wave Country," Inari said as he crossed his arms and turned his head. Konohamaru glared and stomped his foot. "Well, that doesn't matter because before that Wave mission, he and I formed a more special bond than you when he first started out as a Genin," Konohamaru said as Inari and he glared lightning at each other and was back in one another's face. "So, he likes me more because I was an emo brat that was also a coward until he changed my life," Inari said as Konohamaru growled. "Oh yeah? Well, he likes me more cause I was a spoiled brat that didn't know the meaning of hard work and honor," Konohamaru said as Inari narrowed his eyes further. "Oh yeah?" Inari shouted as he and Konohamaru were face to face pushing each other. "Yeah!" Konohamaru shouted back. "Oh yeah? Yeah! Oh yeah? Yeah! Oh yeah? Ow!" They both cried as they were hit atop their heads by Naruto's two fists. They both crumbled to the ground holding and nursing the large bumps at their heads, as Naruto sighed and gave them an irritated look, completely with a slight glare. "What the hell is wrong with you two? I don't like either of you more than the other. You're both like my little brothers to me." You don't have to do this, and if you don't stop giving me headaches with your little shouting match, then I'll beat the both of you and round the village with my dull and rusty kunai. You got that? Naruto said in an irritated voice as Konohamaru and Inari both shot up and nodded vigorously while saluting to him. Sir, yes sir, Hokage-sama, they both said as Naruto sighed and went back behind his desk. You two can go since Tazuna-san and I have business to discuss. Konohamaru, show Inari around the village or something. Just be back here in an hour, okay? Naruto said as two of the young boys nodded and walked from the room. As soon as they were in the hallway, Konohamaru turned to Inari with a frightened expression. Now, you see why I call him boss, Konohamaru said as Inari nodded. Naruto was like a Yakuza boss when he was in angry mode on. Link break. So what is it that you wanted, Tazuna-san? My council has paid you and your people for your work, right? Naruto asked as he sat down and leaned forward in his chair. Tazuna chuckled as he stood in front of Naruto with a smile on his face. Yeah, of course. In fact, I believe they overpaid us for the repairs. Well done. Tazuna said as Naruto smiled. Then that'd be the bonus assigned after I found out you were finished here yesterday, Naruto said as he leaned back in his chair and turned it slightly so he could gaze out to the window. Why the bonus, Hokage-sama? We only repaired a few dozen buildings and stores, Tazuna said as Naruto chuckled and gazed up at him. Just Naruto. And it's because your country is still trying to get back on its feet. I've read the files from my mission. It seems that Kato's money, businesses and all the other things were handed over to Konoha since we were the ones to kill him. I'd like to give you some of the companies that man owned. And don't object, because it was my way to offer in an alliance between our two lands. Alliance? I remember something about that. So, what do you have in mind, Naruto? Tazuna said as a chair came up from the floor. His eyes widened, while Naruto had closed his with a smile on his face. Tazuna sat down and Naruto dug in his desk drawer for a document. I was thinking that since Wave is neutral in the wars that you could provide repair assistance to my village. We can also set up trade routes and other things, but that'll be discussed with the council later. Just know that I'm personal offering your country a percentage of the shipping company Gato owned. Let's say Konoha keeps 70% and give Wave 30. The only reason I say that is so other countries will have a percent. Not as big as ours if they join our alliance. So what do you say? Are we open for the talks? Naruto said as he raised his hand to Tazuna, who was wide-eyed and frozen. He shook himself as he regained thought and shook Naruto's outstretched hand. Yes, of course. I'm sorry, kid, but I never thought I'd be having this kind of talk with the same brat that couldn't even eat properly. It's amazing what a few months can do for you, ninja, huh? Tazuna said as Naruto's sweat dropped again. Was he really that bad before Pervy Sage and Kyuubi Sensei training emotions, intelligence and thoughts? No. Well, maybe. We did run into a wall those few times. And then there was him following that trio coin for 6 hours at the amusement of some tuning. Okay, so he was that bad. Damn. You think people would look to the now? Naruto, you listening? Tazuna said as Naruto shook his head of his thoughts. Huh, oh yeah. Naruto said as he accepted the scroll was apparently holding out to him. He looked it over and saw that it was an A-ranked protection and escort mission for the wave workers who had been fixing up the village. Alright, everything looks in order. I'll send 2 Jonins and an Anbu on this by the end of the week. Please enjoy the village, and in about 2 days you and I will meet with the council to begin the alliance talks officially. Is your daimyo okay with this all? Naruto asked as he remembered that even Wave needed a lord to rule it. Tazuna puffed out his chest and polished his fingernails on it with his chin held high. I would think so, since I am the Wave country's daimyo after all. After Gato left, we were leaderless, and the country voted me its leader since I was the reason you had come to the country and freed us in the first place. Tazuna said as Naruto's sweat dropped and muttered something about half-assed drunk old men. Naruto sighed as he got up from his seat and walked Tazuna to the door. By the end of this week, have all your workers and whoever else traveled with you here at the main gate by sunrise. I'll have transportation waiting to bring you back to Wave via bridge route. Naruto said as Tazuna gave a chuckle and held up his hands, waving them a bit. That's alright, we can walk back just like we got here. You don't have to spend all this on us, Tazuna said, trying to be humble, but his damn back was making it harder. Naruto chuckled as he opened his office door, giving Tazuna a smile with his closed eyes. It's no problem. And who said I'd be spending any money? I'll be making your transportation myself, Tazuna said as Naruto looked at him. Naruto said as Tazuna looked at him in confusion, but shrugged it off as something Kage-level ninja could do. Tazuna had walked from the office and down the hall. When Naruto was about to close his door, that was until he heard rumbling. Tazuna girly-ass scream of pain, and the multiple voices yelling and cursing at each other. Naruto walked down the hall to see what the hell was going on, and as soon as he turned the corner and was in front of the council chamber, he saw a human dog pile of, people. He could see most of them were his former fellow Genin, Jonin, and a few other that he knew. Get the hell off me, you cow! Sasuke shouted as Choji grew a vein in his forehead and an angry expression. What did you say, you stuck-up asshole? Choji shouted back. Ino pig, my back isn't a chair, Sakura shouted as Ino stayed seated atop her and crossed her arms. You're right, but that forehead of yours could be with the size of it, Ino said with a smirk as Sakura tried to get her off. Shino, can you please get your teammate off of me? Shikamaru drawled from under Kiba, who was unconscious. I would, but it seems as though I'm stuck under Neji-san and Lee-san, Shino said from beside Shikamaru. Lee, get off me this instant, Neji said with Lee atop of him as he tried to get free. I would, but Tenten-chan and Hinata-san are atop me as well. Ladies, would you be so kind as to jump down? Lee said as Tenten sighed and Hinata fidgeted nervously. We would, but being at the top of these things is kind of fun, eh, Hinata? Right? Tenten said as she elbowed Hinata playfully. Hinata said as she saw her sensei and other sensei sigh from the sides of the pile. How did we end up on the floor? We're Jonins. We should have been able to avoid this, Kurenai said as Asuma shrugged from under her. I would have if Kakashi hadn't tripped over that old guy back there. Then I grabbed him and you grabbed me, then Guy grabbed Shino, and it all went downhill from this. Since we were running and whatnot, Asuma said that Kakashi was flying under him. What the hell is going on here? Naruto asked as he stood in front of them, with his Kage robes and hat on. They all looked at him with Hinata and Tenten hopping off the pile, being sure to step on each other as they got down. Naruto! They cried out as they ran up for him. He merely sidestepped them with them impacted into the wall directly behind him. Yeah, now what in the name of Kami-sama is going on around here? He said as they got out of the wall like nothing happened. The people in the pile began to get up one at a time as some complained about their backs and others were simply staring at him. Now that they were this close to him, they could see that he was taller than a month ago, much taller. He was now the same height as Lee and Neji. He had also let his hair grow out, apparently because it was down to the collar of his robes. So, are you people going to tell me what's going on, or am I? Hokage-sama, so glad that you are this early for the daily council meeting. I hope we did not keep you waiting long, Yashi said as he came around the opposite corner with Choza, Shikaku, Inoichi and Shibi close behind. Naruto sighed as he looked from the people who were openly gaping at him to his council members. I was actually seeing what all the racket was in my mansion. It appears that they all had businesses for some sort in here, Naruto said as he gestured towards the ones who were in the pile, who had moved to side as more council members came down the hall. Then by all means, allow them in on the meeting. It would be good if some of them heard what is to be discussed today, especially since most of them are future clan heads and importantly ninja of this village, Choza said with a hearty chuckle as Naruto sighed and gestured them into the chamber's link break. Naruto took his seat at the head of the council table. To his immediate left and right sat Jiraiya and Tsunade, who Naruto had chosen as his advisors. Behind him, to his left and right sat the village elders, who were Koharu and Hamura. On Jiraiya's side, going down the left side of the table, sat Hiashi, Yuga, Asuma Sarutobi, Inoichi Yamanaka, Shikaku Nara, Choza Akamichi, Tatsumi Inuzuka, Shibi Aburame, and Unkai Kurama. Behind them, the group lined the wall as they waited for the meeting to begin. On Sanada's side of the table, going down the right side, sat no one. Not one of the civilians had shown up. Naruto gazed down her side with a raised eyebrow, as everyone else was frowning. At the opposite end from Naruto were Dragon and Danzo, who were both Anbu leaders, Danzo of the Root and Dragon of the regular Anbu forces. Both of the men were frowning, even though both hid it with their masks, or a stone-faced expression. Along the wall were teams 7, 8, 9 and 10. Kakashi, Kurenai and Guy stood beside them while. "Where are the rest of the council members, Koharu-san?" Naruto asked in a low voice as Koharu looked annoyed. "I believe they are running a bit late, but we can start with this group while we wait for them," Koharu replied as she gestured to the people lining to the wall. Naruto sighed as he propped his elbow up on the table and held his head in hand while gazing at them with a bored expression. "Fine then. Why are you all here?" Naruto asked as some of them looked at him like he was the weirdest thing they had ever seen. "Well, you see, we were just wondering," Choji asked meekly as his father and everyone else turned to him. Kiba grew impatient, so he decided it was high time they stopped skirting around. "Who the hell the dead last like you became Hokage?" Kiba yelled as 3 different Anbu appeared with weapons to his neck, sternum, and a more private area. "Boar, ox, Tora. That will be enough," Naruto said lazily as they nodded and went back from wherever they had came from. Kiba didn't look anything but annoyed, but on the inside he was almost pissing himself. Kiba screamed in frustration as he grabbed his hair out. "I don't get it. How could they make you Hokage? You were the dead last of our year, a grade A moron, and you aren't even that good as a ninja. Don't get me wrong, you're my friend, but why you? I know it was your dream, and I knew it happened someday, but still." Kiba yelled at him as everyone gazed at him with emotions ranging from anger to sadness. Kiba dropped to his knees as he continued to rant. "I just don't see how you could become Hokage when so many other ninjas in this village probably weren't even considered. There are Jonis, Anbu and hell, even some of us, but they picked you? Why? Please just tell me why, cause it's driving me crazy," Kiba said as they all turned to Naruto, who still looked incredibly bored. Shikamaru, Shino, Neji and even Sasuke had to mentally applaud how he was able to look so when faced with Kiba's friend. "Kiba, we don't question the council or the fire daimyo. We chose Naruto-sama as Hokage and that is how it'll stay. Your petty rivalry with him has no place in Tsuzumi," Kiba's mother was saying as Naruto spoke up. "That's enough, Tsuzumi-san. He merely wants to know why I was chosen for Hokage when many others could have and deserved to be picked over me," Naruto said, showing only a slightest less bored looking expression as he gazed down at Kiba. "To tell you the truth, I have no clue why I was chosen. They say it's because I have the will of my predecessors and that I can be molded into a great Hokage, but honestly I think that was all talk," Naruto said, much to the shock of Shinobi Council. "They said some of the people that were considering for the job, so let's go through them. Jiraiya Sensei was considered because of obvious reasons, but the daimyo knew he wouldn't accept the title to do this free spirit. Kakashi Sensei was considered due to him having been taught by my father the Yondaime and his reputation," Naruto said as Kakashi's eyes widened while everyone looked at him. "You weren't chosen apparently due to you being too steep in the past and your own emotional baggage," Naruto said as Kakashi shrugged. "It was true. Besides, he'd never take on being Hokage. Well, maybe if it were a few years later, and the village really needed him to be, but otherwise no way in hell. Even Shikamaru was considered due to his outstanding performance during the Chunin exams," Naruto said as he casted a finger towards Shikamaru, who shrugged and yawned as the people beside him stared at him with wide eyes. Because he wasn't chosen due to his laziness and the fact that he'd find it too damn troublesome to become Hokage, Naruto said with a snicker as Shikamaru nodded in agreement. "Why be Hokage when it's too much work and too many political headaches? What a drag. I much rather watch clouds than lead a village," Shikamaru said as Ino sighed in annoyance as his lazy attitude. Would the guy ever change? No. He'd probably find it too troublesome or too much of a drag to change. Like I said before, People who were greater than me and were more fitting to the title than me were considered, but in the end I was chosen. Don't really know why and don't really care. All I need to know is that I will do everything in my power as Hokage to lead this village to greatness, Naruto said as they all smiled at him. Even the corner of Sasuke and Neji's lips quirked upwards at the conviction in his words. So, was that all you needed? Naruto said in a bored tone to them. Yeah, pretty much. The other stuff we wanted to talk about, we can see you later in your office or for that, Hokage-sama, Kurenai said, adding emphasis to his title with a smirk as Hinata nodded while some of the people in the room chuckled. Link break. Naruto sighed in annoyance as the civilian council members came into the room with an air of arrogance and superiority. Even Sasuke had openly frowned at them walking in as if they owned the place. Sasuke was sure that if he was Hokage, they would have been gone on his first day of the job. Even Shikamaru dropped his bored expression to frown at them, as they didn't even acknowledge Naruto's presence or that of anyone else in the room. Naruto kept a stone face as civilians sat themselves down in their chairs. Naruto realized that he had never known any of them by name besides Sakura's mom, Sayuri Haruno. He shrugged as he also realized that he didn't give a damn to learn their names anyway. So glad to see you could join us, civilians. Do tell why it is that you are so late to this meeting, Yashi said as he leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms. Hinata and Neji had to stop themselves from gaping. They had never seen Hiyashi as anything but cold and rigid. But here in that room, he had become cold and fluent. He wasn't even glaring at them. He was simply gazing at them with a look of no interest. If you must know, Hyuga, we had important business that had to be done. Our children were joining the academy this year, so we had to find some ninja tutors for them. A burly man sat 3 seats down from Tsunade. Oh, it isn't me that you really have to explain yourself to, Hikai Tasuna. It's Hokage-sama, who is looking for an answer. I would hope you didn't disappoint him with it. Hiyashi replied coldly as everyone turned to Naruto. His hat was overshadowing his face, but they could all see the clear frown on his face. He put his hand on the rim of his hat and took the object from his head and sat it down in front of him. His eyes were like cold pools of ice, the way they gazed at the hat and then to the civilian council. They have disappointed me, Hiyashi. I do not care if your children are joining the academy this year or not. When the council meeting is scheduled for 9 a.m., I expect you all to be here 9 a.m. Whether I'm here or not, you are my council, and if you want to remain on my council, you will follow my rules. Is that clear? Naruto said in a harsh and cold voice as he gazed over to the civilian council, who were trembling a bit, but still looking definite as ever. We are the council, boy. Just because you're the Hokage doesn't mean that you can. A man near Danzo shouted out before he was silenced by a sudden pressure weighing down on him and his fellow civilians. Maybe you do not understand how the village works, civilian son. I am the Hokage, which means my word is law. This village and all who lives in are mine to command and do with as I see fit. I rule this village alone, not with the council. This council is only to inform, not to decide or rule. The laws and ways of my predecessor are nothing to my own. If I so choose, I will set fire to this village and build another on the ashes of it, and anyone I made stay inside it at my command, Naruto said as the pressure increased, making them gasp onto the table for support while they all fell one by one. Sakura watched as her mom's eyes became wide and her breathing became heavy. She watched as her mother was the third to grasp the table and was one of the last to fall from her chair to the floor. She couldn't believe that her mother was a part of that arrogance, that stupidity, that egotism. Her mother had always been so kind, sweet and loving to her. So when did she become such a bitch? And Naruto, that cold voice, those ice-like eyes, and that hidden threat coupled with that weird killing intent. When did Naruto become so cold? He was like Sasuke when he used the curse mark for the first time. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Naruto being a cold ruler, her mom being a part of a group of complete bitches and bastards. What was next? Sasuke being sweet and goofy? Okay, ew, that was gross. That thought was kind of creepy, even for Sakura, but It was still just as wrong as what was happening before her. Naruto, please stop. They can't take much more of whatever you're doing to them. Sakura said as Naruto stopped immediately. He turned to the others of the room and saw a range of emotion, the most frequently being that of shock. His council looked a bit concerned for him. Sasuke and Kakashi looked a little bit afraid of him. Sakura looked ready to go to tears. Hinata, Ino, and Tenten gazed at him mostly shocked, but there was a bit of fear there. He hated that as he looked into the eyes of everyone else. They all had a small trace of fear in their eyes, but it was at him, but more of for him. They were fearful of how he would feel about his slightest loss of control. True, they might not have known he had lost control, but he did, and he knew he had. In his trying to get his point across, he had let too much chakra pressure on the civilians. While the shinobi in the room could have taken it, the civilians were untrained to deal with anything like that. He wondered what could have happened. He had used skill and intent on them instead of pressure. As the civilians got back into their seats and with shaky breaths and trembling bodies, they glared hard at Naruto, but Naruto only gazed back. It was as if he was watching their dislike for him instantly twofolds. He couldn't call their animosity hatred because it lacked the pure loathing for it. It was more like a deep disliking of what he was as a person rather than just loathing him for who he was. He could tell their glare wasn't because of Kyuubi, and it was because of as Naruto. It was more like they were glaring at him for being a ninja and a Hokage. You hate ninja, don't you? Naruto questioned lowly as he rested his head in his hands. The civilians were taken aback by the question, but returned the glaring all the same. Yes, we do. Sayuri said as Sakura gasped. Her mom hated ninja, but then why let her be one then? Why? Asuma asked as he actually started paying attention to the meeting. Because all we hear every single day is ninja, ninja, ninja. Everyone wants to be a ninja. Everyone has to be a ninja. Damn the ninja. You ninja are so damn great. People look at you all and see gods. But you're not. You're all human like the rest of us. Yet people hold you all in such high regards. Well, I've had it. Hikai shouted as he slammed his balled up fist into the table. This was their chance to get everything out into the open. So why not use this? Yeah, he's right. And what of the people who don't and can't become ninja? Or who don't have what it takes? You throw them to us. Make them feel worthless since they can't do what you all do. I wanted to be a ninja when I was a young boy, but I didn't have the chakra to. So you know what I was told? Become a civilian and go work at a shop. You just don't have it in you to be a ninja. Do you know how much that hurt? Do you know how much I cried after that? My dreams were shattered, and my hopes ruined, all because I simply couldn't do those damn jutsus you ninja use. I became a civilian alright, and a damn good one at that. I worked my way up to here, where I am today as a council member. The 1-2 seats from Danzo shouted as the Kenin looked at him with wide eyes, while the Jonin and the other ninja looked away. And like Bashir just said, what do you do with those who can't become ninja? You throw them to us civilians and make us teach them a way to survive in your ninja world. You ninjas think yourself so important, but we civilians who are the important ones, we who feed you, clothe you, make your weapons and house you only for you to protect us from yourselves and those like you. If it weren't for us, you wouldn't have a damn thing to stop you all from killing each others. That's why the feudal lords and daimyos are civilians, because you shinobi are so damn battle ready and bloodthirsty. And another opposite Asuma shouted as Sayuri stood from her chair. You may be asking why we let our children join our academy, and because we couldn't become ninja, we let them become ninja. Why? You ask? Because it is our dream to become ninja, and we live that dream through our children. That is why we let our children become ninja. We love the Uchiha clan, because the Uchiha had the most civilians in their clan out of all the ninja clans of our village, and so they were always understanding of us. When they were killed, we rested all our hopes on Sasuke-sama to become his clan head, to become kind and understanding to the village civilians. We wanted him to love us and not to never forget our kindness. We wanted him to become as powerful and a great ninja who would say that he got where he was because of civilians in his life. Sayuri sat unnatural quiet as she locked eyes with Naruto. Naruto never broke his gaze as he saw all the emotions through her. The reason we seem so arrogant and egoistic is because we're proud to be civilians. We know ninja run this village and we hate that. We hate that the fact that ninja, while mostly nice and understanding, still look down on us. if even in a small and unseen way. But what we hate the most of all is the Hokage position, Sayori said, ending with a slight growl that made Naruto raise a brow. Oh, and why is that, Sayori-san? Naruto asked as he switched his arms he was resting on. The entire room was silent as they waited for her to speak. We hate it because it reminded us every day that ninja rule our lives. We hate it because you can order us to be killed by ninja and no one can question it because you're the strongest ninja in the village. The reason we butted heads and argued with each of your most recent two predecessors is because we feel small. There, I said it. We feel small. We feel as though our input doesn't matter. For example, in time of war, it was the Shinobi Council that is in charge. Or how in times of peace, the Hokage would turn to his Shinobi Council for any information. The only time Sarutobi-sama or Namikaze-sama would even speak directly to one of us is when it was about the shopping district or was to take money from the civilian budget to give to the ninja, Sayori said as she gazed around the room. Her eyes then turned back to Naruto quickly as she pointed a finger at him. Do you really want to know why the civilians of this village isolated you and called for you dead? It wasn't because we feared Kyuubi. Well, not really because of that, but it was a reason. It wasn't even because we have no faith in Yontam-sama. In fact, we believed in him more than anything. No, it was all because of what you would become, she said as Naruto sat up straighter. And what would that be? He asked with a raised eyebrow. He was really curious as to what they had hated him for so long, yet praised Yontam. A ninja, and a powerful one at that. We hated the fact that Kyuubi killed our loved ones, and it was stopped by a ninja. Even if it was the Yontam, we weren't mad over the death of our loved ones, because they died protecting the village. Even the civilian ones died protecting someone else. We hated and isolated you because you would become the ninja we all had hopes and dreams of becoming. The ninja disliked you because they thought the Yontam seal would break or something around that, but we didn't care. We hated that you had chakra levels we couldn't be born with. We hated that you had the stamina that we didn't get blessed with. We hated you because had we not screwed with you education by isolating you, you would have been a ninja to end all ninja. And look where we are now. You as a Hokage, at the same age Itachi became an Anbu captain like Dragon-san. We hate that you're living the dreams we all had on our first day of Ninja Academy. Sayori said as Naruto's eyebrow threatened to disappear into his hairline as everyone else looked shocked expression. It was only thanks to Kyuubi that he was able to maintain his bored expression and not yell, scream or shout about what was being revealed. Did you know that we civilians have controls over Ninja Academy? We do, and we use that control very well. Why do you think the academy is so easy now? A written test, some thrown kunais, and 3 easy as hell jutsu to pass and become a genin? It was also our children didn't have to feel the sting of disappointment like we did. It was also they could have the adventures as ninja that we didn't. It was so Sayori was saying until Naruto cut her off. You could live out your dreams through your children and have them nearly killed in the process, Naruto said as everyone looked at them in shock. Excuse me? Sayori said in a low voice as she narrowed her eyes at him. You heard me. While I applaud you trying to save kids from getting their hopes and dreams crushed, there were consequences to what you're doing, Sayori-san. Tell me, how much do you love my now former teammate Sakura? Naruto said as Sakura and her mom looked at him with wide eyes. What are you saying? Sayori said in a scared but firm voice. He wouldn't punish her daughter Sakura for her speaking out against him, would he? Nothing much. Did you know that we almost didn't become genin? Did you know that on our first serious mission that we almost died quite a few times? Did you know that during the Chunin exam we were almost killed by Orochimaru and then by Gaara during the sand invasion? Did Sakura ever tell you that almost each of the time that she could do almost nothing but sit on the sidelines or almost get killed if no one was there to save her when she could have had the skills to save herself? Naruto said with no emotion as Sakura looked away and Sayori looked shockingly at her daughter. No, I didn't know that all. Sayori said as she was shocked to her core that her only daughter had come close to that so many times. Did you know that unlike the rest of Team 7, Kakashi included, Sakura has not suffered any heavy losses during her childhood due to her sheltered life because of you before the academy? Therefore, Sakura takes for granted things that we desire, such as family and friends. This is also apparently stretched to the truth of being a shinobi, because not She had no idea that we shinobi killed each other. When Kakashi tested us, he held a kunai to Sasuke's neck and told Sakura to kill me or he'll kill Sasuke. She was the most shocked out of all of us when Kakashi then told us that shinobi are sometimes made to kill others. Naruto said as Sayuri was gazing at her daughter hung head with tears in her eyes. Has she really sheltered Sakura that much? Your actions as civilians and parents are in a way honorable but not the less stupid. We became ninja and that academy was there to prepare us for the experience. The only reason most of the others are prepared is because they have families to help them. Sasuke knew because his family probably spoke to him about it when he first joined the academy, and I was told by Haruka sensei in my second year. Sakura, however, was not. He sheltered her and filled her head with fairy tales, but forgot to tell her of the evil she'd have to face that came with those sweet dreams and fairy tales. That is why the Ninja Academy is to be run by ninja and not civilians, and that is why I am taking back the control of it, Naruto said as he leaned back in chair. And another thing, don't hate ninja. Yes, I see how some of your points are valid and how you can all feel that way, but you all being bitter. You've let that bitterness control you. But look at yourselves, member of the Hokage's council, and you're very successful people at that. Each of you have succeeded at an aspect of life and having a good life. You may not be a ninja, but that doesn't mean you're not important, Naruto said as he rested his head on his hands on his stomach and closed his eyes. As you said before, we ninja depends on civilians. We can't possibly be ninjas full time and grow and maintain our own food supplies, make our own clothes constantly and create our own weapons all the time. Being a full-time ninja is hard enough because we can't be called away on an extensive mission anytime, but having to be civilians as well would cause the destruction of our village. I for one am glad to have civilians around, but you all must understand that ninja already deal with a lot of crap. Besides, if everyone was a ninja, then the world would have ended long time ago, Naruto said as everyone hung on his every word. That was why the first Hokage built this village with Madara Uchiha, so the ninja and civilians could shelter and settle in a place. It was to keep the civilians safe inside the village where they could thrive, and so the ninja could protect their village, which were family, from all outside threats. That is why our village is for the idea of peace, while other villages would say there is no such thing. We hope that one day ninja wouldn't be needed and that we can all have normal jobs, but until that day we ninja will continue to lead and protect. Will you of the civilians will continue to supply and help? That is the exchange, which is the cycle, and that is the way in our life and in our village. I may lead and rule, but it is all of you, ninja and civilians alike, that makes this village for me to rule, Naruto said as he opened his eyes, gazed at everyone and smiled. The civilians looked completely, and for a good reason. Neither Sarutobi nor Minato had ever told something as kind as he did. Sarutobi had always said the ninja were important because without them the village would be run over, and Minato said the civilians were only there to ensure the stability of the village so that the ninja would thrive. While both were true enough, neither had ever said that without civilians the ninja couldn't survive. While Minato was close, he had meant that civilians and children were used as impromptu ninja in times of war. Naruto had simply came out and openly admitted to the direct need of civilians. Both former Hokage had been able to live for themselves and through other peoples, but they hadn't realized exactly what type living for themselves they were doing. They bought food at civilian markets, they tailored shinobi clothes and bought clothes from civilian shops, and the famous bow staff, the one Sarutobi had before Anma, and three-pronged kunai is the one Minato used for the Harishin Jutsu, were both made by civilian blacksmiths. I think we will not have this meeting today with things the way they are. Perhaps tomorrow will be a better day, Naruto said as he grabbed his Kage hat and walked out of the room, placing the hat on his head. It was only 10 o'clock and he already couldn't take much more of the day. It just plainly sucked. Link break. Back with the Akatsuki. Pain looked out to the hologram of his Akatsuki members: Itachi, Kisame, Sasori, Deidara, Kakazu, Hidan, Zetsu, and Konan. Zetsu had just come to him and Konan with an emergency message from Konoha, and he had thought Itachi and Kisame had slaughtered everyone, yet didn't find the Kyuubi anywhere. Boy, was he wrong on that call. He now owned Conan 20 Ryu for making that bet, even though both of them were way off on their calls. Apparently the Kyuubi child had been made Hokage of Konoha. He didn't know why or how, but it really didn't matter. It was perfect. Now they knew the kid would be much easier target for them to capture. He, Pain, had just finished explaining the situation to his Akatsuki members, and well, Itachi, weren't you and Kisame just in Konoha? How could you not have heard of this? Kakuzu questioned as Itachi turned his hologram form to the older man hologram self. We did, but we wanted to present the information directly to Leader Sama. Besides, our visit to the village didn't go as planned. Exactly, Itachi said in perfectly monotonous. Kisame nodded and chuckled sheepishly. Oh, what the fuck happened? You crimson eye, fag, Hidan said as Kisame gave him an annoyed look, coupled with Itachi's blank one. We were forced to fight not only Kakashi Hatake and a few other Chonins, but also Hiyashi Yuga and Jiraiya of the Sun along with the Kyuubist Jinchuriki. We were defeated and managed to escape. We are still recovering from the battles. Itachi said. Kisame crossed his arms with an annoyed look, with Pain nodding, closing his eyes. All is well then, so long as you're both okay. You lived and will fight another day, so no worries. Just be sure to report on the power that Jinchuriki had after this meeting. Pain said as Itachi and Kisame nodded. Kisame was secretly smirking as on the other end of their meditative jutsu, he and Itachi high-fived each other. If the Elemental Nations had a Ninja Academy Award for Best Performance and Half-Truth while staring directly in the face of your leader, then they had won it, hands down. So, what do you all think of this problem, yet great opportunity? Pain asked as he looked around all of his members. I don't think it doesn't matter to me, because he's not my target, Sasori said from inside his puppet, Hiroku. Maybe. I could make him into a great work of art. Yeah, Deidara asked and said, as he looked to his hands. Sasori sighed in annoyance as he was really considering turning himself into that puppet of his former self. It was just sitting in the closet collecting dust, and if it made tolerating Deidara any more bearable, then he'd do it in a heartbeat. Itachi, Kisame, Kakuzu trolled out as Uchiha turned to him. Allow Hidan and I go to Ninetales this time, Kakuzu said as everyone turned to him. And why might that be, Kakuzu? Itachi asked in a bored tone as Kakuzu's green eye landed on him. Because I have a score to settle with Konoha. As you know, I was defeated by the first Hokage, so I'd like to get back at Konoha by being that of its fifth Hokage. Besides, I know that Konoha is the rich of the 5 great villages. They have many high bounty ninjas there, and even more bloodlines that can be sold to high bidders. It's a virtuality goldmine for me. So Hidan and I will handle both the Ninetales and the Two Tails. In fact, with the leader's permission, we'll leave immediately. While they're still recovering from Orochimaru and Sand invasion on them, Itachi entered with no problem, and I'm sure that Hidan and I can handle anything that throws at us. Kakuzu said in a complete gruff yet monotone voice, though each of them could hear the malice and greed laced deep into it. Pain nodded to Kakuzu's request and Itachi gave the Miss Nin of Waterfall a searching look. Naruto and the others in Konoha could definitely take him and Hidan on. Maybe not kill them, but mostly certainly make the two take a tactical retreat. Kakuzu, I don't think you understand the... Itachi was saying until Kisame interrupted. Let him go, Itachi. I'm sure the zombie brothers can hold their own against Konoha, Kisame said with a shark-like grin as Pain gave him a blank look. Kisame-san, you should have more respect for your fellow Akatsuki. Pain scolded as Kisame only chuckled at him. I do. That's why it's a term for endearment, Kisame said as Pain resisted the urge to roll his eyes. No, he was to be the epitome of apathy, the poster child of blankness, so he couldn't show any form of emotion. That includes annoyance, though Itachi, Sasori, and the whole damn Aburame clan were giving him a tough run for the title of apathetic sovereign. Well, I think Deidara and I will head over to spy around Konoha until you arrive. Rendezvous with us when you two are near the border of Fire Country, Sasori said as he and Deidara's image flickered away. Yeah, said mirthfully Deidara as he gazed at his palms while his image too faded away. We will arrive in 3 days to Rain Country, Leader Sama, Itachi said as he and Kisame nodded to Pain and they flickered from existence. Come on, Hidan, we're moving out, Kakuzu said with authority as Hidan sighed and rolled his eyes. Yeah, whatever, Kakuzu, Hidan said as they both faded from the meeting place. Link break. All that were left were Zetsu, Konan and Pain when a new image had appeared at the head of the figured positions they were standing on. The 3 members nodded to the new one as it gave a crude nod back. How goes the plan, Pain? The newcomer asked as Pain gazed at him. It goes well, Madara-san. Kakuzu took the bait as you said he could. He seemingly could not resist the mere opportunity to gain some of the riches that lay within Konoha. He and Hidan are leaving Lightning Country now and are making their way immediately to Konoha. If they go full speed with no stops, they should be there in 8 days. Sasori and Deidara have already offered to spy on the village and are going there as we speak. Since they are in Wind Country, they should be there in 3 days. Itachi and Kisame are on their way to report to my village. Pain explained as they now revealed Madara Uchiha chuckled dark. Excellent. With Kakuzu and Hidan going after that cubist Jinchuriki, he'll be crushed since Hidan couldn't die. And Kakuzu is a very powerful ninja that even I would not take lightly. The two of them have nearly perfect teamwork, and since the Kyuubi Jinchuriki is rumored to be weak ninja, due to the isolation of his village, he'll be taken down with minimal efforts once Kakuzu and Hidan make quick work of theirs in Konoha. Madara said as Konan nearly went wide-eyed at his analysis. Yes, but he was made the Hokage, and I would believe that it's not without a reason, Pain said in thought as Madara chuckled once more while his image immediately disappeared slowly. Yes, not without a reason indeed, Madara said with amusement in his voice as he completely faded from the room. Pain gave Konan a look and they both knew then that Madara had something to do with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki being made the Hokage, but what they couldn't figure out was what part in it he played. The two had shared before fading away was so quick that when Zetsu had his eyes lingering to the spot Madara was in question of the statement, he had completely missed the look. Link break. Do you think it was wise of Madara to do what he did? The white half of Zetsu questioned as the black half scoffed as their images faded and they awoke outside of the hidden rain village. Of course it was. Madara has never made a plan he couldn't finish before, so why would his geniuses run out now? The black half said as they began to sink into the ground. They needed to discreetly inform the other villages that the Kyuubi brat had become Hokage and that Konoha was now crippled. It wasn't true, but it would at least get the other villages up and on Konoha's case for a while. If not cause war, which was all the better for them and not for Konoha. Yeah, I guess you're right. Though, I have a feeling that this is gonna come back and bite us in the ass, the white half replied as the black half scoffed once more. You're imagining things, besides, we don't have an ass. The black half said with a mirth as they sunk completely into the ground, yet little did the Venus flytrap know Madara had made at least 3 known master plans that had failed before. Oh well, it was time to get Konoha in a whole lot of trouble, cause Toby and they were all part of Good Boy Guild now. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys, so hope you like this one, and if you do, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And this is Apollo Uchiha and I'm signing out. Peace.